What's up, fam? How y'all doing today? Well, continuing to move forward with the saga of the shadow. Man, I'm telling you, this thing is really, really putting it to me. The whole fuel system was corroded over due to the bike sitting up for, I believe, about 8 years. But this bike is a bike that I got back in, I don't know, 2000, 2001. Something like that. But let me kind of show you what's going on here. Take a look at this, and it's a mess. If you look where my hand is, right here. Obviously, well, not obviously, but the battery goes here. But up under the battery, right down in here, is the fuel pump. Now, the fuel pump obviously gets gas from the fuel tank. Well, as you can see, the fuel tank, which goes right here, is not here. But right about here on the fuel tank, there is a nipple which allows the gas to go into this hose right here. It goes into this hose, which comes out down here. This hose, after the fuel comes out of this hose right here, goes through the fuel filter. Now, the fuel filter is important on any vehicle. Fuel filter, which we can see right here. I'm going to move around because I got the lights on. This is the fuel filter right here. So that connects onto that. From the fuel filter, it goes through this little hose into this gizmo, which is dangling right there, this item in my hand now, which is the fuel pump. Now, considering that this is set up with fuel in it for 7, 8, 9 years, whatever it's been, I'm not going to take any chances with that fuel pump. I'm sure it's just full of crap. I started to go ahead and soak it in carburetor cleaner, but I know if I do that, it's got an electronic side to it. It's going to mess that up. So considering these pumps are only 15 to 20 bucks, I'm going to get a new pump and I'm going to get a new filter. Well, as you can see this little U, see the fuel dripping out, and it stinks. It doesn't even smell like gasoline because it's all gummed up. But this right here, fuel comes out of here, okay? Once it comes out of there, it goes into the carburetor. It goes into the carburetor. This is actually two carburetors, okay? One right here and one right here. The fuel goes into the carburetors right here through this little nipple right here. There's a line there, and then on the other carburetor, there's a line right there. What happens after the fuel gets inside the carburetor, I'm not an expert at. So I'm going to give it to you in layman's terms, me being the layman. We've got to get the fuel into the engine. The way that internal combustion engines work, which most of you already know, but just deal with me on this. If you have air and you take a gaseous mist, just think of it as a mist, just gas, and you light a match, it's going to flame, it's going to blow up. We all know the gasoline burns. Well, what happens inside of an engine, and I've got one broken down here, so this is one of the engines off one of my pressure washers. The gas goes into this round thing right here. I don't know if you can see it, this round thing right here. Gas goes into that round thing right there, and then it has a spark. Everybody's heard of a spark plug. If you look right here, see the white thing? That is a spark plug. This is the head. We're not going to get into all the technical terms. We're just going to make this simple. The spark plug causes a spark. When the spark and the gas ignite, they blow up. When they blow up, one of these things, which this is a broken one, by the way, this is a piston. This piston fits right inside of this hole right here. Okay, now I can't get it in there right now because the rings are not compressed, but if the rings were compressed, this goes inside that hole and it slides up and down. Every time there's an explosion, it actually goes in this way, I'm sorry. Every time there's an explosion, this goes down. As this goes down, let's look inside of here. If we look very closely, let me see if I can pull it down. It pushes this shaft right here. This shaft, it has a weird shape to it, but as it pushes this shaft, it makes this turn. So the piston goes down, it turns this when the gears go to this, and once this is turning, it then goes to a transmission or whatever, and ultimately gets to the back wheels or the front wheels of your car, and your car goes down the road. As you can see right here, this is shaped in a V. Here's one side of the V, here's the other side of the V. There's a piston going up and down on that side, and a piston going up and down on this side. When those are going up and down in the proper firing order, it turns this. And this turns and goes through a transmission or whatever. Now, the only difference between this little motor right here and, say, the motor that's in a car is that there are two of these. And in your car, which is a V8, just think of taking this little motor right here, putting two more right here, two more right here, and two more right here. So now you've got 8 of these going up and down, and that's why you get a lot more power. Well, I'm going through all this. For those of you that already know, just indulge me, but I'm really doing this for my sister-in-law up in Birmingham, because I know she'll be the only one that'll get a kick out of this. So, as we put gas, remember we have this little gizmo right here? Okay, the gas has to go through this gizmo, the pump filter first, and then the pump, which is on this side, comes out of this, it goes into the carburetor. The problem that I had with this motorcycle is that the carburetor was locked up. Now this carburetor was torn down, and if you look right here on my workbench, you can see from here all the way over are the parts of the carburetor. You can see right here, the carburetor cleaner. I had to use WD-40 to break it loose, along with some blaster because it was so gummed up I couldn't get it loose. And then, you know, just some regular carb spray to spray out those little jets. What I mean by jets are these little doohickey, this little doohickey right here. Get out the light. Okay, see that? If you look very closely, you'll see some little tiny holes on that. Now, gas comes out the gas tank. It's pumped into the carburetor through the pump. Once it gets inside of here, if you look right where my finger is, right here, this is actually inverted, but I'm showing it to you like this. This is where the gas goes first. It actually comes out of this little round hole right here. And it is managed by a float system. What do I mean by the float system? You've got this little bitty bolt right here, and this bolt has a hole in it, in the center of it. Inside the center of that goes this little bitty thing called a needle. You probably can barely see it with my that little thing right there. This stops and starts the flow of the fuel. When this itty bitty right here, when this itty bitty tank fills up, there is a float which looks like this, goes inside of here, and when it fills up, it actually shuts off the supply of fuel into the carburetor. What then happens is this side, hold on. Okay, you see this side right here. Now, I'm going to have to show this to you differently. Turn upside down. If you look right in here, see this round part right here? Okay. This is what connects up to the engine. Okay, this is where fuel gets squirted into, remember this piston shaft I told you about right here? That piston shaft right here, and that piston goes up and down. It gets squirted in through one of these valves. Well, not the valves, it's called an intake manifold, which would be this hole right here. My finger's going in. Fuel goes into that. Now, you notice on a car, when you press the gas pedal, the car goes faster. Okay. The reason it goes faster is because you're getting more air and fuel into the piston shaft. To keep it really simple. Okay. So, if we look inside here, you'll notice when I turn or press my gas pedal on a car, this opens up. This allows fuel and air to go into the engine, blow up, and make that piston go up and down. This is idle because there's just a teeny tiny bit getting in, but when I open it up, more fuel comes through here, because remember, the fuel went into this little itty bitty gas tank right here, went into the little bitty gas tank, and then it's sucked in through this intake, which is right here, goes on into the engine, and you get to go fast. Now you'll notice how this turns. The problem that we had on this carburetor is that This did not turn. It was locked up, and it took me 3 days to break it free. So there you have the saga of the jacked up carburetor. Those people out there that work on motorcycles and cars and all for a living might be laughing at me right now because this is very basic, and I by no means am a master mechanic. I can come in here and clean some stuff out and put some stuff together, and that's exactly what's happened here. So Sandra, I hope you enjoyed this. Kind of did it for you because I know you're just nosy like that and you like to know things. There's other parts of this carburetor that I fool with. I really don't know what they do. I just know where they go, and they have to be clean. So again, another thing that was in real bad shape was this piece of equipment right here. This is the fuel valve that actually goes into the gas tank. Well, this is where the fuel comes in from the gas tank. Oops. It comes in where my finger is, and it goes out of this nipple right here. This little nipple right here. It goes out of there and into through the pump and the filter, the pump and the filter. Ultimately, it gets into the carburetor and into the engine. So there you have it. Fuel delivery 101-1. So, all right, peeps. Fam, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If it didn't put you to sleep, stay tuned because I'm going to start putting the carburetor back together now and get it back on the bike. I'm about to go on eBay and order a new pump and filter right now. Hopefully that'll be here first part of next week, but I got to get the car back on anyway. So stay fun. Have a good weekend.